With summer recently beginning, I felt inspired to create something that feels uplifting, danceable, and fun. So today we're making a summer dance jam. I wanted to deliver something that felt like summer, so I figured we need the sound of the sea and some seagulls. So I went to freesound.org and found the following sample. Then I began thinking about what types of sounds would go well with this type of mood, and I felt that a quality synth pad would be a great way to set the opening tone of the track, which is why I loaded up my beloved Matrix Pad 4 preset within the Retro Machines library because it just sounds good right out of the gate, especially after increasing the glide knob. And then I began experimenting on my keyboard and I came across the following chord progression. The notes that make the first two chords 7th chords, this C and this G, make the overall progression feel a little more laid back and dreamy. Whereas the G major chord at the end adds this uplifting resolution to our progression, making it summer ready in my opinion. Now to complement the chords, I figured a mute guitar would be a great way to add some contrast and danceability thanks to its plucky rhythm. So I'm using my go-to Electric Sunburst Deluxe library to play the following melody that is built around the note D, which is the second note or the supertonic of the C major scale. And this note works with practically any chord within the scale. To further extend on what we have, I'm adding these atmospheric strings from Session Strings Pro 2 that help accentuate the dreamy atmosphere even further, especially through this instance of Fruity Phaser that is being applied on the strings mixer channel. So with these elements down, I wanted to begin turning them into an arrangement, starting with the intro where I'm slowly revealing all these elements through low pass filters that are gradually opening up. To help provide some movement, I'm adding this head loop from the Oliver Pack on Splice, which is also being introduced through a low pass filter automation clip. And finally, I'm applying two automation clips at the master bus level. One is a high pass filter and the other is volume, and these make sure that the intro is overall being introduced more smoothly, both in terms of body and volume. After the intro, my idea was to shift into a section that immediately provided a high energy presence. So I began laying down these drums to shape up a groove, along with adding a rhythmic bass line. For the drum samples, I turned to Splice, where I found this kick in the Nico Pop Pack, this pre-shifted Oliver snare, and this Nicky Romero hi-hat. We also have some crashes and sweeps serving as transitional elements to help smoothen the change between segments. And at the end of every segment, I'm also playing this unique duplicate of our pre-shifted Oliver snare, which has some reverb applied and therefore makes for a nice variation to the regular snare that plays throughout. For the bass, I'm using this analog saw preset in Serum that I downloaded from Splice, which sounds like this on its own. Now the overall magic of this synth comes from the cutoff filter being modulated each time a note is played through this envelope 2 shape over here that is being linked to the filter cutoff, creating this nice aggressive articulation. And I'm then layering this saw bass with the Scarby Rickenbacker bass in Contact to gently provide some additional warmth and authenticity to our bass sound. Now, to further build on our arrangement, I felt next we should introduce a section that is a bit more calm compared to our verse. So I began to strip away some of the elements to help play with the tension and anticipation of our song as we build towards the chorus. And in this 4-bar pre-chorus section, I began with getting rid of the bass and the kick, and in turn I am reintroducing our mute guitar from the intro, which is increasingly opened up through this high-pass filter automation clip. Then after 8 beats, I am getting rid of all drums, but I am re-adding the bass, but now without any low end. And this is where I'm also introducing a new element, this Jupiter 8 synth pad. Now, this one is going to serve as a layer to our synth pad in the chorus that is about to come, but I already wanted to introduce it to the listener before, which is why it starts playing in the pre-chorus already for the listener to get acquainted to it. And it also plays in a higher register than our main synth pad, which is why it makes for a nice tonal complement. Then immediately after the pre-chorus, which is concluded by this Oliver fill, we are greeted again by all of the elements we discussed so far, and the result is something that sounds familiar but simultaneously impactful as we feel the energy of the drums being reintroduced, as well as the new synth pad layer that adds a slightly different feel to the track. And another thing I did to keep things sounding interesting and not too repetitive was creating this subtle variation in the chords pattern by adding this C on top of the 3rd bar in both the main synth pad and the Jupiter 8 layer. And that concludes our summer dance jam breakdown. I'm really interested in hearing any other genres you want me to explore in these videos, so I encourage you to get active in the comments below and to consider subscribing if you want to become part of our community of musicians and music lovers. I look forward to seeing you all next week, and let's now listen to the final result of today's summer dance jam.